overall though, if Villa don't make Champions League this season, Unai, you've done it again.
Because
he juggled Champions League very well with his league campaign.
Yeah.
And I think for the first time doing that in the Premier League, I don't think you can be too harsh on him.
Because I gave you tools. This is why I went and did Splish Splash in January. This is exactly why. I'm not paying all them money for. How much is the session costing? Are you weekly? I went and did that specifically so you could work this through. I'm not saying it's easy, and I hear you, but he's one of the few managers where his club backed him properly in January.
Okay, but how many people, if you went out and surveyed 100 people, how many of those 100 would say, I would have guessed that Aston Villa made the quarterfinals of the Champions League and are still in Champions League contention?
And before, semi of the FA Cup as well.
Before or after January?
FA Cup.
Before or after January?
Before and after. I even after, I don't think...
Before, I would have allowed him. After January, I would have expected a little bit more.
I would expect him to secure. Because look at the players he got. He got three strikers.
The only one I'll give you...
three strikers.
The only one I'll give you is the FA Cup.
That's the only one. That was a bad...
I don't mind the FA Cup either. That's on the day thing.
No,
I think
I'm with you.
That's
contending
the only
for top
one.
four.
I don't mind the FA Cup one. It's
remember
league.
and they're still in the race for the Champions. It's not like...
Yeah, that's what I said. No, that's what I said. If we got
if he doesn't make...
Chelsea dropped off for a long time. They didn't take advantage of that.
I know Newcastle didn't spend as much money when they got into the Champions League, but they didn't qualify for Europe.
After, yeah.
So they couldn't balance it at all.
Yeah, I agree.
Where you got to give Emery credit, like he's come in and remember this is a new Champions League campaign.
But that goes back to my point of them reinforcing his team.
What's his name?
How did he get that? And I remember we said it at the time. How did he get that? So you think it's harsh? You think actually the cycle of getting in and doing relatively well in all those competitions, it's okay. Not it's okay, but it would be harsh to say he's failed a little bit by not.
Yeah, because like you say, you do set your own. You do reset your own baseline. Like you qualify for the Champions League, and obviously you want to do that again. But remember, they were like Newcastle. They were ahead of the curve. No one expected them to get Champions League last year. So they're essentially qualifying for the Europa League this season. They're where they are in it. I know you say they've been backed, but I think this is staying in Europe is their platform to be that team.
One second. This is the question then. What's the point of Emery coming in then? Because we're giving him... I'm being real.
I was going to say the same thing.
Could you put in Emery...
Hold on, let him.
Yeah, I'm going to say it in a different way.
You put in Emery with his experience and knowledge in this game and managing high level of quality players, technical and football IQ players, right? So in the summer, after you made the qualification, they bought Onana, signed Tielemans, Barkley, who was
the year before?
Yeah.
Tielemans was the year before?
Yeah, Tielemans didn't come this summer. He came the year before.
Yeah, he came when they went down. Yeah.
So who else did he... Barkley, who else did they sign?
Onana. Definitely Onana. I can't remember.
A couple of defenders.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying... it's Philogene, Onana. Philogene's gone back out.
Yeah.
Matson, that's it.
Yeah.
So they backed him in the summer. And then they backed him in January as well.
I would say January is more the backing.
But they backed him in summer. Like, remember, certain people wanted Onana at Arsenal. I remember I said,
okay, so question.
But what I'm saying, they've backed him twice.
They didn't bring no one in big in the summer.
Sorry, keep just for yours.
They didn't bring no one big.
Yeah, I think January is when they backed him. But the only thing I was going to say is, for me,
they had a lot of people leave in the summer.
The almost quote unquote business case for go and get me Asensio, go and make the Rashford work and get me Marlon would have probably been based on qualifying for the Champions League again. And the only reason I say that is you weren't going to go in the office and say, hey, get me these players and I'll win the Champions League.
Yeah.
Right? That wouldn't have been it. It would have been, we need to finish as high as possible again, revenue. You know how these guys think and talk, right? And progress well in the cups, etc. Anything past, bro, I'll be honest with you, anything past qualifying and coming out the league stage, and it's the first of a new format as well anyway, would have been a bonus. I think the business case on give me these players would have been let's lock in Champions League qualification.
I think that, but as well, I think they have the buffer of the Europa League as well. I don't think it's Champions League or bust. And to Adrian, where should Emery be now? Like you say, what's the point of hiring him? Like he's done wonders since they've been there.
Qualification.
That's what I'm saying. He's been brought in to elevate the club to another level.
Which he's done. Which he's done.
No, which he's done. But
I think,
but we're looking at the January signings, and that's for you to say push on. And they haven't been that competitive.
So that's what I was
push on from what though? Okay, push on from what?
Top 4,
become regular.
Okay, so where I think I can kind of see the point. So if it was a top 4 and Villa missed out, that's fine because there's an extra place. You would probably have expected Villa to make it into the top 5.
But we didn't know the extra place.
I didn't even give him that grace. I'll be honest, I didn't even give him that grace.
What I would say though is there was a position where they really struggled in like the winter months where they were really going for the Champions League and they dropped so far down and they've actually done really well to be back in the race. Yeah. So if you see it across that, and then obviously you then look at Nottingham Forest who are having the season of their life, to your point, you think they're going to drop, right? So Villa are probably just about trending where they should be trending, considering everything that's happened this season. I would say that as well.
I agree.
If they got Europa, they would then go into that competition as probably one of the favourites as what we've seen this year, which I think then does kind of help to continue to elevate what they're doing, but they would need to keep the squad together. So I kind of think he's done enough.
Spot on.
I think he's done enough, but where I can, if someone says they've dropped off, I can almost agree with them too, because they probably have enough to be in the Champions League places quite comfortably.
So let me ask you a question.
And the reason why I say it, the reason why I think that point is harsh.
I think you can answer my question.
I think the reason why that part is harsh is because what's happened now is they've gone, oh, you've gone on a great run. We've reinforced the squad temporarily because remember Rashford and Asensio were loans. We've reinforced the squad temporarily. So, okay, we're resetting the baseline here, right? Essentially, we're saying, taking stock of where we are, here's new players, or here's players that we think with this talent in the squad, you should now be able to achieve this.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Which is Champions League qualification.
Which is Champions League qualification, because let's be honest, I don't think they would have said Champions League winner.
No way.
No. Exactly. And I don't think, and FA Cup, that's
if you can, you can.
You can. That's neither here nor there.
But
right? So I agree with you. The Champions League qualification probably would have been A1.
Yeah, because that's not a Europa League investment. That's my point.
That's
not Europa League investment.
I understand that. I understand.
I'm not saying it's a fire or anything. I'm just saying it's a disappointing.
No, and I understand that. Yeah. But then what happens is you start getting further in the Champions League. You get further in the FA Cup. So then
that same quality is now mashing up your main target. Yeah,
exactly. So now your main target starts to take a hit.
First world problem.
Because it's like
you're overperforming.
Exactly. So we're overperforming. So now we're at a point where we go, do you know what? You know another part I'm not considering. I'm not mad at it.
You know another part I'm not considering as well. This is gonna sound bad, but it's all well and good bringing in Rashford, Marlon, and Asensio. Then you go inside the sassy, man. Why are you giving yourself and then taking with this hand, bro? You come in a sense.
And then playing it right back.
It's mad.
He's why they lost to Man City, innit?
100%. And I don't like to dog up players, but his performance is that. And we saw this from Chelsea. Like, there's a reason he was able to lead there. You know, so look, I think you're right. It will just be, I think when all the dust is settled, if they finish sixth,
it's disappointment.
I think it's not crazy or anything like that, but there will definitely be disappointment there.
Yeah, of course, because
they were good value for the Champions League, and you know momentum needs to be built, and also it affects so many things: recruitment, revenue, all of these things. Yeah. Like the squad he can build next season. If he qualifies for Champions League,
he can build a stronger squad.
He can, but if they don't, it's a slight sideways step. Luckily, the owners he's got, they will invest in that.
And I think what the word you used was very key is momentum.
Yeah,
because they would have gone, look at what we just did in the Champions League. Let's do it again next season. We can't.
Or at least let's do it with more permanent players. So now instead of only getting an Asensio whether on loan, I'm not saying you could go and buy Asensio from Real Madrid, but you could just have a slightly different conversation and step up.
Yeah.
And then if you qualify for Europa League in 2 years' time or something, it's not that big of a setback. You know, you're just kind of in the mix and in the run. But I think we're going to see this for the next
one thing I would
years.
say though is if they go into the Europa League, considering what the base quality of that competition is now, they're one of the favourites.
100%. Yeah. It's going to be like Chelsea in the Europa Conference, isn't it?
Yeah. They're one of the favourites.
Yeah, it will be.
Sorry, before you move on from Villa, I just want to send an apology to Tielemans because I was very critical.
Louder, please.
Last season, I thought he struggled a little bit. I didn't think he'd be the guy to elevate them. And then granted, they're not as high in the league this year, but he's put in some performances this season that have shocked me. And I think it might be because they've had the ball a little bit more.
Yep.
Like at Leicester, he was chasing the ball a lot. You know what I mean? We've all seen that famous clip of him running backwards. Villa weren't as possession-based last season as what they are now. I think they're
and he's one of the reasons they are.
Yeah, fair.